oh man, that was a rough loss for the Philadelphia Eagles on the road at Dallas. 24 unanswered points for the Dallas Cowboys to go ahead and steal that one. Let me tell you guys, listen, all the talk about Jalen Hurts, and this offense being inept, I thought there were periods of the game, particularly that first half, obviously, where the offense looked really damn good. We scored 21-0. I mean, everything was easy. It was butter. It was smooth. I mean, the ball was coming out quick. It was on time. It was decisive. I mean, everything was flowing in the passing game, right? And then in the second half, once you had this lead, all of a sudden it became really, really choppy, as if they were just not on schedule anymore, or not in rhythm, rather. Particularly in terms of play calling, because there were some times where I thought the offense was getting something going and then a penalty would kill them, and then they were getting something going and then a turnover, and then they were getting something, you know what I mean? So a lot of inconsistent play in the second half. It ended up yielding nothing but punts and a missed field goal opportunity, and that was the difference in the ball game, along with other things that we're going to talk about in just a few moments. But kudos to the Dallas Cowboys. Give them credit for going out and taking this game. Being down 21-0, they did not feel like they were out of the game at all, especially once they ended up getting that first touchdown coming out of the second half. I think they said to themselves, hey, you know what? We still got a ball game here. We just need to stop. You got to go one possession at a time. And Dak threw them back in the game. That's what ended up happening. George Pickens killed us. 9 targets, 9 catches. I mean, we're going to talk about his stat line in just a few moments, but he completely outclassed this Eagles secondary. Despite the CeeDee Lamb drops, which, by the way, I mean, my goodness, stop dipping your hands in some freaking olive oil by the time you play the Eagles, CeeDee Lamb, my goodness. But again, kudos to the Cowboys. They went out and got this one, and the Eagles choked this game away. As just as much as the Eagles choked this game away, Dallas went out and won it. So you got to give them credit, and you have to kind of be like, hey, Eagles, what the hell are you doing over here on the offensive side and even the defensive side of the ball of this unit. But we're going to talk about this game, what it means for us, particularly in the standings, and why we lost this game in just a few moments. But let's get right into it, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Riding the Bench Eagles podcast. I'm your host, Asif Badi. Like you, I am a Birds fan who is annoyed, but we talk about the Birds, only the Birds, and nothing but the Philadelphia Eagles. So please do us a favor here, help us grow this channel organically by shooting this video a thumbs up, commenting your thoughts in the comment section below, and subscribing to the channel. Also, check us out on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Leave a 5-star review, because in the end, it doesn't cost you a damn thing to go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We appreciate your support on the opposite side of the camera and on the opposite side of the airwaves. All right, let's talk about this game, ladies and gentlemen. We obviously know we lost the game 24-21, split in the NFC East matchup against the Cowboys. And again, the Cowboys get up for this game. We talked about it in the previous episode, in the preview of this game, where this game is going to come down to the interior defensive line for the Cowboys being able to get pressure or not, and coming down to the kicking game. Brandon Aubrey sealed the game for them. Despite missing a kick earlier, Jake Elliott went ahead and missed a field goal as well. Missed opportunities all throughout this ball game, and it ended up coming down to the wire, which, again, we thought about it in the last episode, and every NFC East game comes down to the wire against the Dallas Cowboys. Dak Prescott, once again, has an incredible record against the NFC East, so kudos to them. He comes up and he really gets up to play with the Philadelphia Eagles. So let's look at some of the stat lines for some of these players in this ball game. All right, well, again, we talked about the score. Let's look at the passing game here. Jalen Hurts went 27 for 39 for 289 yards, a touchdown, no interceptions. I thought he played a pretty damn good game. I thought he was clean for the most part. He did have a brutal sack on the final drive for the Philadelphia Eagles, but the game replay showed I didn't think anybody was open on that play at all. And the internal pressure from Quinnen Williams, from Ezekiel Zua, and Kenny Clark, obviously, was really the big difference on that play. And he completely beat Landon Dickerson and Cam Jurgens, Ezekiel Zua, that is, on that play, and ended up getting the massive sack. So good for him. Great play by the defensive line over there, and just a very brutal sack by Jalen Hurts in that spot. Dak Prescott threw for 354, 2 touchdowns, did have the interception in the beginning of the game, but he ended up leading the game in passing yards and leading drives when they really needed a score. Dak Prescott went out and completely put the team on his back and made some plays despite some CeeDee Lamb drops. As we mentioned before, George Pickens, 9 for 9, 146 yards and a tutty. CeeDee Lamb had 75 yards, but 11 targets, 4 catches, and like 3 of them were drops. He had a drop in the end zone that was brutal. And on our end, A.J. Brown, welcome to the freaking season. He had a very consistent game. 8 catches, $110, a touchdown. Helped me out in fantasy, by the way, but we're going to be a little bit... I don't care about fantasy. I care about the Eagles winning the football game. Devontae Smith had 6 for 89 and the big play. Saquon had 7 catches and 50 yards himself. But boy, oh boy, this rushing attack. 22 yards on the ground for Saquon Barkley. That is just not going to cut it. The Dallas Cowboys got 125 yards on the ground. Javonte Williams had 87. That is just not going to cut it. If you're the Philadelphia Eagles and you're trying to play a game in which you're building an identity through the run game. Brandon Mann was excellent today. I thought the defense played really well today, considering an Xavier Gibson. My goodness, what a freaking terrible play that was. You can leave the Jets, but you can never have the Jets leave you as a player. And that was on display. Part of the reason why he was a waiver wire pickup. The guy has issues holding on to the ball. And really the big thing in this game, I talked about it before, the rushing attack, the rushing plays by the Philadelphia Eagles or lack thereof. And honestly, time of possession was even, but let me see. The penalties. 14 penalties for 96 yards. When in Philadelphia Eagle games do you see the Philadelphia Eagles be so bad in penalties? Now, I know you're going to look at player execution, and rightfully so. Majority of this is on the players and executing it correctly because, quite frankly, when we did get drives going in the second half, it was a bad penalty, like a bad position play by Fred Johnson, hands to the face. Right call, but bad penalty. Going down the false start by Cam Jordan is a little ticky-tack, but you know what? That's a bad play there. Starting off the play, getting good yardage, and it gets negated by a penalty, and now you're behind the sticks. Again, I love Jalen Hurts as much as anybody, but even I as a fan of Jalen Hurts understands that he is a limited quarterback in terms of being a pocket passer, and you kind of have to make sure that things are on schedule in terms of getting yardage on the offense. Now, I believe he's capable of doing much more, and I think he showed that in this game, being able to throw over the middle, being able to get the guys the ball on time, in stride. I thought he played a really good game today, but when you're behind the sticks all the time, particularly in the second half, after being so aggressive in the first half, you take the mojo out of the team, and that goes in line with coaching. Once again, we talked about it in other episodes in the past. The coaching staff here, while player execution is such a big deal, the coaching staff has to be able to have a pulse on this game. And after their 21-0 lead, they really took their foot off the gas. And taking your foot off the gas against a high-powered offense like the Dallas Cowboys just gives them life that they did not need. They really did not need that life. And again, we'll talk about coaching staff, but let's talk mainly about this rushing attack and Saquon Barkley, because at some point, ladies and gentlemen, we could blame the offense for their inconsistencies all they want on the quarterback. We could talk about the play caller all we want. We could talk about guys not getting open. But how about Saquon Barkley not being able to get anything on the ground? 22 yards on the ground in this ball game against the Cowboys. Now, I know they got Quinnen Williams, Kenny Clark, Zeke Zua. They got a lot of players on that defensive line now, and they look much better in the run defense than they did even with Micah Parsons. But 22 yards, that cannot cut it. I don't care if you had 2,000 yards the year before. This is one of those things where you look at Saquon Barkley and you say to yourself, what in God's name are you doing behind the line of scrimmage here? What in God's name are you doing? Tank Bigsby had only 1 carry today, and that was for an 8-yard run. Honestly, this offensive line, while it wasn't as great as it was last year, it's still pretty good. And I can't help but think every time we see Tank Bigsby in the game, we see a good chunk in the run game happen because he goes downhill, one cut runner, hits the hole, gets yardage. Doesn't worry about dancing too much behind the line of scrimmage, trying to go for the home run. Now, Saquon Barkley, I love the guy. After last year, he definitely won my heart. But this is one of those things that I've talked about with buddies of mine, and people looked at me like I had 5 heads. But this is one thing that Saquon Barkley has done throughout his entire career, and even with the Giants. Sometimes he gets too cute and doesn't hit the hole. That's been a knock on him. Another knock is that he doesn't like going inside. Listen, I don't believe that he lacks toughness. I don't believe that he's lost a step. What I believe is that the holes that were there last year are not quite as big as they are now. I mean, let me flip that. The holes that were there last season were much bigger than the ones that there are now. But the holes that are there for the offensive line, they're creating enough running lanes. Tank Bigsby is able to go ahead and exploit that. Why not Saquon Barkley? Part of it is because he's getting too cute and wants to get the home run ball every freaking run. Sometimes you just got to be able to settle for 4 yards. Keep the offense on schedule. And we talk about all the time how people say that A.J. Brown's being selfish, and he had 8 for $110 and a touchdown and ended up resulting in a loss. So we can have that conversation at some point. But we talk about the passing offense and some of the wide receivers being divas and being selfish about wanting the ball. Well, at some point, you got to look at what's going on in Philadelphia with this running attack and look at Saquon Barkley trying to always get the home run and say, how is that not a selfish act on your part? You're a guy who wants to win. Help the offense by winning, by being on schedule and just hitting the holes that are there. I thought there were plenty of times in today's game where Saquon's just sitting back there looking for the best hole, and when you could just put your foot in the ground, go up the field. That's what Tank Bigsby did, and he's done that since he's been in Philadelphia when they started giving him the ball. So this running attack really needs a lot of work, and that's probably one of the big reasons why you see all the fluctuations on this offense, mainly in Philadelphia. Now, the penalties, again, player execution, coaching staff execution, understanding what you're dealing with. Again, everything comes down to the players, right? A majority of it. So in terms of being able to go and put blame on people, you look at the players and say, you got to shoulder a majority of the blame because you're the ones going out there and playing. That's your job. However, there's got to be something that falls on Nick Sirianni. And the one thing that we have all said about Sirianni is his ability to not only manage the game, but get these guys game ready, get these guys executing at a high level, not being a high penalty team, not being a high turnover team. All the things that a CEO coach would need to do, he's done pretty well. In today's game, and even throughout this whole season, this has been an offense. This has been a team that has been really, really riddled with penalties. And in this ball game, you had 14 penalties for 96 yards that ended up costing you the game. These were bad penalties because it ended up costing the offense after getting chunk plays. Now you could say to yourself, hey, it's up to the offense to overcome this. But you know what? If time after time, I mean, like, they can't do everything every single time here. And again, the offense has been bad. It's been very bad. Tonight, they weren't. And the penalties killed you. Not being on schedule killed you. Not having a running game after a 21-point lead killed you. It almost sheds a little bit more light as to why they almost called the games the way that they do. This running attack and this coaching staff really has to get their shit together. Because I thought the defense played well, and they held up their end of the bargain for the most part. You hold the high-powered offense like the Dallas Cowboys to 24 points, albeit they had their own miscues. That's what you would want. I thought the Eagles' offense were getting things going in the passing game in particular, but yet these penalties completely derailed the offense. And then when you needed a drive, you were getting a drive, and then Saquon Barkley gets the ball punched out. When you got to stop by the defense, Xavier Gibson, being the Jet, the former Jet that he was, fumbles the ball by returning it within your 10-yard line. Let the ball go into the end zone. Brutal fumble there. Brutal fumble by Saquon Barkley. Missed kick by Jake Elliott, who, again, as elite as it gets, it's a 56-yarder, 58-yarder. I'm not going to kill him for it. Those things happen, right? And then Jalen Hurts with the brutal sack, albeit nobody was open there. And you can't necessarily get out of the pocket when you're getting internal pressure like that. And they played good contain on that. I thought they had a really good coverage sack there. And then lastly, this game came down to the kickers. Like we mentioned in the preview show, in the preview game just a few days earlier, Brandon Aubrey, once you get to the 40-yard line, if you're the Dallas Cowboys, in your mind, you're thinking, I have 3 points on the board. That is a massive, massive advantage for a team like that in a dome with a high-powered offense. It lets you play just that much more free. What a leg the guy's got. And again, he did miss one, but when you needed him most, he hit the ones that needed to be hit. The game-winning field goal at the end, again, albeit a 45, 48-yard or wherever it was, no doubt. And again, this game came down to penalties. It came down to the running game. It came down to execution by the players. And it quite frankly came down to being out-coached. I thought Schottenheimer coached a really, really damn good game. Matt Eberflus, give him credit. Came up with a good game plan in the second half, made adjustments, and it stifled the offense. And the coaching staff by the Philadelphia Eagles had no answer for it. They could not adjust because they couldn't do anything right in terms of play calling. And when they did, the players couldn't execute it via the penalties. So, again, choke job by the Philadelphia Eagles. They choked this game away. Kudos to the Cowboys for going out and winning the ball game. And now you're in a position when you're Philadelphia, where the Rams are now 9-2 at the top of the NFC conference, and you're at 8-3 as the 2 hole. And now you got Chicago on Friday night, who, again, that is not going to be an easy game. All of a sudden, Chicago is good. You would not be able to convince me at the beginning of the season that this Chicago game would be so pivotal in the NFC landscape. Black Friday is going to be a very, very important game for the Philadelphia Eagles. You win that game, you may have a track to get to the 1 seed, but losing this game against Dallas in the way that you did, and now having to go on a short week to play against the Chicago Bears, who for their own, they're in a position where they can win their division if they win Friday night. And now you got the Bucs and the Rams playing tonight because right now the game is not on. This is a very, very significant game that the Eagles have lost. And tonight's Sunday night matchup is a very significant game for the NFC Conference. Every Eagle fan right now is a Bucs fan. And on Friday night, you got Chicago, who, say what you will, that defense is for real. That quarterback's playing well. Ben Johnson's doing a hell of a job. And I know for damn sure they're going to put up points. So you're going to have to go in there, play that team, and play a clean ball game. And they force turnovers. This running game has to be solved by then. If you could run the ball against Chicago, you're going to win. But Philadelphia has not proven at all this year that they can get a run game going consistently. So, again, brutal loss for the Philadelphia Eagles. Let me know what you think in the comments section below. Again, this has massive repercussions in the NFC title picture. So, kudos to the Cowboys. I will tip my cap to. I'm not going to be poo-pooing you like a lot of other Eagle fans will. You have earned every right to talk your smack. This was your season on the line. You got the win when you needed it in a big game, and Dak played excellent. The defense played excellent, and George Pickens, my goodness, what an acquisition he's been for you guys. Kudos to you guys. So, again, let me know what your thoughts in the comments section are below, and the next time you see us, we're going to talk about this Chicago game down the line and what it means for us in the NFC title picture. So, but until then, fly Eagles fly in a brutal loss. Go Birds. Hey. Thank you so much for watching the Riding the Bench Eagles podcast. If you want to continue to support the channel, please hit the like and subscribe button down below. Also, check us out on Instagram and TikTok at Riding the Bench Eagles Pod. We're also on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, you name it, we're on there. Thank you so much for listening, and please join us next time here at the Riding the Bench Eagles Podcast.